Our today's topic is expression of a given trigonometric expression into a new form. What's the topic of the day is? I will start from here. Method to express method to express a times sine of x plus r minus b times cos of x in the form of r times sine of x plus minus alpha or r times cos of x plus minus alpha. In this expression, alpha and r, capital R, are two different new things. So that's the topic of today. How you will solve this one? In the given expression, because we have this one, a times sine of x plus or minus b times cos of x, we have to express the sum or difference of the sine and cos into a single trigonometric ratio. So what's the topic is? Sum or difference of sine and cos into one ratio. Either you have to express in terms of the sine or you have to express in terms of the cosine. What's the meaning of this one? This means you have to express this one. A times sine of x plus minus b cos of x is equal to the r times sine of x plus minus alpha or r times sine of cos of x plus minus alpha. So this is a method, this is a technique, this is a one form to another form. So you have to note the steps. What are the steps? The first step is equalize. Equalize given and required form. Equalize given and required form. Whenever you have to express one form into the other form, so you have to equalize given and required form. That's the first step. The second step is expand. You have to expand sine of x plus alpha or cos of x plus minus alpha. It's your choice. You have to expand sine of x plus alpha or you have to expand cos of x plus alpha. It's your choice according to the given condition. The third step is equalize. The third step is you have to equalize. So equalize, what you have to equalize? The coefficient of sine of x and cos of x. Coefficients of sine of x and cos of x. The next one is make two equations and solve simultaneously. Make two equations and solve simultaneously. The next one is find value of capital R given in the statement of the question and alpha. The last step is write given expression. So these 4-5 steps you have to follow. You have to write the given expression into a specific form. You have to remember these 4-5 steps. So the first step, just I read the statement, equalize given and required form. The first one is, then I expand sine of x plus minus alpha and the cos of x plus minus alpha. Equalize the coefficient of the sine of x and the cos of x. Make two equations and solve simultaneously. Find r and alpha, write given expression. So I have to take one example from here. Question is, I will solve with the blue marker just like this one. Question is, express 3 times sine of x plus 4 times cos of x in the form of, what's the form is? In the form of in the form of r times sine of x plus alpha, whatever the expression is given. Now I have to read this one. 3 times sine of x plus 4 times cos of x. You have to express in terms of the r times sine of x plus alpha. So the first step is, we have to equalize the given and required form. That's the first step. So we have to equalize given and required form. What is the given form is? 3 times sine of x plus 4 times cos of x. That is the given form, and we have to equalize r times sine of x plus alpha. Whatever the expression is given, if you have to make the sine, then you will use the sine. If you have to make the cos, then you have to use the cos. The first step is okay, equalize the given and required form. I have to make tick over here. So that's first step. I have understand and I have apply over here. The second step is that you have to expand this sign. Expansion is only on the right hand side. So you will expand this one as, you have to expand, r will remain as it is. We have to apply the sine of x plus alpha. So what's the formula? In the start of the trigonometry, we have this formula, sine of a plus b, that is equal to the sine of a into cos of b. If you have the plus sign, then you have to write the plus over here. You have to change the angles. It becomes sine of b plus cos into cos of A. The same rule you have to apply over here. There are compound angles. The compound angles are x and alpha. So I have to write, I will use the red marker over here. So I have to find this one, the sine of x. The first one is first angle. Then you have the cos of alpha, the second angle. Plus will remain plus and minus will remain minus. So over here I have the sine of, because just you have to change the angles. The trigonometric ratios will remain as it is. So you have to write the sine of, first you have to x, now you have to use the alpha and cos of x. The next step is, just I will read the statement, what the next step is. Equalize the coefficient of the x and sine of x after the expansion. So we have to equalize. Before equalizing, I will write over here the expansion of this one. So what's the answer of it? Becomes r times sine of x it becomes sine of x into cos of alpha, plus will remain plus, and r will multiply by the second term, r times sine of alpha into cos of x. And that is equal to the 3 times sine of x and plus 4 times cos of x. We have the two expression on the left hand side as well as on the right hand side. So we have to equalize the coefficient. This means you have to equalize the terms of the sine of x on the left first hand side. You have to write the terms on the right hand side. So the first term, I will make it with the, suppose this one is 3 times sine of x. That is the terms involving the sine of x. Out of these two terms, which term involve the sine of x? We have this term. So you have to equalize r times sine of x into cos of alpha. Then you have to make the second equation with different colors. Suppose the color is this one. Suppose this we have the green color over here. The 4 times cos of x, that is equal to the r times sine of alpha into cos of x. Now you have to cancel the terms. How you will cancel the terms? With the help of the red marker. So sine of x is over here, sine of x is over here. These two terms will cancel out. Cos of x is over here, cos of x is over here. These two terms cancel out. So I will get, what will be the remaining terms? That becomes r times cos of alpha, that is equal to the 3. That is called the first equation. And r times sine of alpha, that is equal to the 4. That is second equation. So we have these two equations, the first equation as well as we have the second equation. Now, what will you do? I have to find, because I have to express one form into the other form, and one form involves only the x and the coefficients, whereas the other form involving the other than x two variables. The first one is the r, the second one is alpha. So you have to find the value of r as well as the value of alpha. There are different methods to solve these two equations simultaneously. The first method is that sparing and adding both the equations. The first method is this one, sparing and adding both the equations. So I have to use this one, sparing and adding. So you have to sparing and adding equation number 1 and equation number 2. Equation number 1 and equation number 2. You have to add square. You have to find the square and add. How you will add and square? We have this one. When you are squaring or adding, this then means you have to squaring the left hand side into the left hand side and the right hand side into the right hand side. Suppose we have this one, the right hand side. So the left hand side becomes r square into cos square of alpha, and the left hand side of this one is plus r square sine square of alpha. That is the squaring of the left hand side of first equation and squaring of the right hand side, left hand side of the second equation. Now I have to add other two. Squaring the 2 plus 4 whole square, you will get this one. R square is taken as common, so you will get the cos square of alpha plus sine square of alpha is equal to the 3 square becomes 9 and 4 square becomes 16. Cos square plus sine square always equal to 1. So I will get the 25 and r becomes plus minus 5. But in all these questions, you have to select r greater than 0. So this means the value of r is equal to the plus 5. Now you have to find the value of the alpha. How you will find the value of alpha? This value of 5, the value of r, you have to substitute in first equation or in second equation. It's your choice. So either you have to put in the first equation or you have to put in the second equation. Suppose we have this color. So what you have to put r is equal to 5 in first equation. So you have the r. That's very light color. So I have to take it dark. This one, r is equal to the cos of alpha. Not r is equal to the r times cos of alpha is equal to 3. So r times cos of alpha becomes 3. R times cos of alpha, that is equal to 3. Now what we'll do, you have to put the value of r and use the calculator. sometimes you have this value in terms of radians, and sometimes you have this value in terms of degrees. So R is equal to the 5 cos of alpha, that is equal to the 3. So cos of alpha is equal to the 3 by 5, and alpha is equal to the cos inverse of 3 by 5. Suppose that we have to find this value. I have to use the calculator. Where is the calculator? So this is the calculator. So I have to find this one. So cos inverse of, I have to find this one. That's a calculator. So over here, so I have to find cos inverse of this one. That one is, so I have to find, use your calculator and find what the answer is, because my calculator is not working. So there is no need to find this one. Uh, as we know that there is a shortcut method, and you have to use that shortcut method if the marks are very less in given questions. Okay, the shortcut method, you have to use this one. But I explained the in details. Now we have to explain the shortcut method. What the shortcut method is, as we know that the formula is this one, a times sine of x, we have plus b times cos of x is equal to the r times sine of x plus alpha. After doing the first two steps same, after doing the first two steps same, and you will make the two equations, and you have to solve this one. The same question you have to solve by equating the first form into the second form. After solving, you have to memorize R is equal to the square root of a square plus b square. What is the A? The coefficient of the first trigonometric ratio. What's the B? The coefficient of the second trigonometric ratio. And tan of alpha, you have to remember these two formulas. Tan alpha is B over A. B means the next trigonometric ratio, and A means the first trigonometric ratio. So this can also be used, this method, but this method is only applicable, sorry, is only applicable when you have to recheck your answer. When you have to recheck your answer, then this method is very applicable. So the same question I have to solve with this method by different colors. Suppose that is the green color. The same question is, I have to use this formula, express a 3 times sine of x plus 4 times cos of x in the form of, what the form is, r times, in this case, is sine of x plus alpha. So you have to write, in this case, what is the answer of A? What's the answer of B? So in this case, the A is equal to the 3, the first trigonometric ratio, the coefficient of the first trigonometric ratio. And what's the answer of B? That is equal to 4. A is given and B is given. Now I have to find the other one. A is given, B is given. Now you have to find the R. What's the formula of the R? As I explained, that is equal to the 3 square plus 4 square. I will get the 5 over here. And what's the tan of alpha? Already given. tan of alpha is b over a. B means the next term, a over the previous term. So you have to use this one, 4 by 3. So the alpha is equal to the tan inverse of 4 by 3. You have to use calculator. So this is the today's topic. So whenever you have this one, you have to apply this knowledge over here. Any doubt? Any problem, Zaina beta?
No.
Okay, no, I will solve one or two questions from here, and you have to remember the method and techniques. Then I will write the applications of this one. Just wait because I have to now share one of the sheet, one of the past papers to express this one. Wait a minute. Okay, beta, this sheet I have. Question number 16 and other questions. First of all, just erase the things over here. Will be to the screen. This one. So that's the question over here. First, I will read the statement of the question. Question number 16. Yes. Question number 16, according to this sheet is, I have to solve this question over here. Then what's the question is, express 15 sine of theta minus 8 times cos of theta in the form of r times sine of theta minus alpha, where the first condition is r must be greater than 0 and angle theta must lie between 0 and 90 degrees. Give the value of alpha correct to the two decimal places and hence solve this equation. So we have to solve the other equation over here. So I have to solve this question. So I have to express the given form into the required form. So according to first step, I have this one is start from the red one, question number 16. I have to start from here. That's the question number 16. So given form is in this question is 15 times sine of theta minus 8 times cos of theta. That is the given form, and you have to express r times sine of theta minus alpha. Theta minus alpha, this you have to express this one as very simple, very easy. How you will solve this one? First of all, the same step you have to follow. On the right hand side, you have to expand the terms. I will solve with the blue marker over here. So I will shift the terms over here because the steps are already unknown. So right hand side, I have to expand this one. How you will expand this one? That is equal to the r will remain as it is, no change. Sine you have to expand. I know the formula of sine of a, that is the theta, and the cos of alpha, that is the b. Minus sign will remain minus, and the sine you have to change the angle. First we have the sine of theta, no, I have the sine of alpha, and then we have the cos of alpha. In the first place, it becomes cos of theta. When you have a practice, you can solve the question very easily. So r times sine of theta into cos of alpha minus r times sine of alpha into cos of theta. So that is equal to the 15 times sine of theta minus 8 times cos of theta. Now you have to equalize the terms. Sine of theta, you have to equalize the sine of theta terms, and the cos of theta, you have to equalize the cos of theta terms. I will change the color. So the first term is 15 times sine of theta on the left hand side, and you have to write the terms on the right hand side involving the sine of theta. That term is r times sine of theta into cos of alpha. That is the first equation. Now you have to equalize minus, I will change the color. Suppose now I have the color is green, dark green. So I have this one minus 8 times cos of theta. That is equal to the minus r times sine of alpha into cos of theta. Some terms will be cancelled out, just like this one. Sine of theta is cancelled by sine of theta, and minus is cancelled by the minus, and cos of theta is cancelled by the cos of theta. So I have new two equations in this red color form. So first equation will be r times cos of alpha. That becomes 15. It is called the first equation. Then you have r times sine of alpha is equal to 8. That is called second equation. Now you have the formula of r because up to now you have the result. So it's very easy. You have the formula of r. R, we know that, as I explained, that r is equal to the square root of a square plus b square. A means the coefficient of the first trigonometric ratio and B means the coefficient of the second trigonometric ratio. So what will you get? It becomes 515 square. Then you have plus the second term is 8 square. Use your calculator and find what's the answer of this one. 15 square. That becomes under root 225 and 8 square becomes 64. When I will add 5 and 4 becomes 9, 2 and 6 becomes 8 and 2 as it is. I remember the square root of the 289 that becomes 17 if I'm not wrong. So now you have this one. The first one is, then you have to use this R, the value of R, either in the first equation as well as in the second equation is your choice. So the first equation, what is the first equation is R cos of alpha is equal to 15. So you can use this one with different colors. Suppose the color is now blue. R times cos of alpha is equal to the 15. What's the answer of R is? R is 17. Cos of alpha, it becomes 15. So you have to use calculator a lot. You get the 15 by 17. So the alpha will be equal to the cos inverse of 15 by 17. Similarly, if you want to find the value of the alpha with the second equation, I will use the different colors. Suppose different color is green. So if you want to use the second equation, what the second equation is? R times sine of alpha is equal to 8. If I'm not wrong, answer of 8 R is 17. Sine of alpha will remain as it is, that becomes 8. And sine of alpha, that becomes 8 by 17. The last step is to find the alpha. You have to use the sine inverse of. So you have to use this one as sine inverse of this one. That becomes, I will erase this one and you have to use what you will use over here. So sine inverse of 8 by 17. Both the answers will you have the same. Both the answers you have same expressions over here. So that's the today's lecture. Okay, the next, the second part of the question is you have to find the equation. What you have to find the equation is over here. Just I read the statement of the question. Hence, solve the equation 15 times sine of theta minus 8 times cos of theta is equal to 3. 15 times sine of theta minus 8 times cos of theta is equal to 3. The second part of this question is, B part of this question is hence solve. What you have to solve? 15 times sine of theta minus 8 times cos of theta is equal to 3. Whenever I have the word hence means you have to use the previous knowledge, the knowledge of the previous part. So already we have expressed this one as 15 times sine of theta minus 8 times cos of theta. Already we have expressed this one as R times sine of theta minus alpha is equal to 3. Already we have this one. What's the answer of R? That is equal to the 17. Sine of theta minus alpha is equal to 3. So sine of theta minus alpha is equal to 3 by 17. As we know that whenever we have the sine, cos, tan in any equation, so their answer is that you are not able to find the direct answer. You have to make the quadrants. So you have to make the first quadrant is over here. The second quadrant is over here. So that's the first quadrant and the second quadrant. Then I have these two quadrants over here. Then I have these two quadrants over here. The sign is positive in which quadrants? The sign is positive in two quadrants. The sign will be positive either in the first quadrant over here, the first line I have to draw, and the second line I have to draw in the second quadrant. Now I have to find the answer. What will you do? Because this answer, you have to find this basic angle. You have to find this basic angle. Use your calculator and try to find what's the basic angle over here is. So basic angle is sine inverse of 3 by 17. That's the basic angle. So use your calculator and find what's the answer of this one. Use your calculator and find what's the answer of this one. This answer will be, you have to put over here, whatever the answer is, and you have to put over here. I will use the calculator and then I will write the answers.